day, Grangers.
And welcome to the hall.
Today we have a Grange member with us who is a member of a brand spanking new Grange out in California. We are joined by Ryann MacMillan from Duzen River Grange. And Ryann, I'm going to toss it right over to you to start to give us a little bit of your background.
Okay. I am Ryann Petersen. My maiden name is MacMillan. Joseph and I are struggling to understand that, but that's okay. No big deal. My husband will laugh. He'll be like, aren't we married?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe
lots of
some
people
days.
keep their maiden names. It's not that weird.
So I am the president of the brand spanking new Duzen River Grange in Northern California. For those of you who aren't familiar with us, deep Northern California, not the Bay Area, but farther.
What does that mean? Like Washington? Because that's where I live.
Yeah. No, it means the very tippity top of California.
Before you got it.
And my Grange story. Is that what we're interested in?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Tell us about how you got involved in Grange, because I'm from surmising from the fact that you're part of a brand new Grange that you weren't born into Grange like Phil was. Let's hear that.
Okay. So I was born in the town that this Grange has been in since 1933. And when I was little, I can remember going to pancake breakfasts, but it was kind of dying off. The Grange was dying in our community. So outside of using this huge space, because our Grange is actually the largest square footage in the nation, fun fact.
Oh.
Yeah.
Road trip.
I know. I'm like, wait. What kind of square footage are we talking here? Like, you can't just throw that out and then not give us a number.
Yeah, we're talking close to 4,000 square feet.
Wow.
It's
so
huge.
Your Grange is a mansion. Got
Our Grange is giant. And yes, our Grange is giant, which, side note, I'm going to mix our history. My history and Grange history, I'm going to share like this.
Totally fine. Let's do it.
Our Grange is, when it was built, like we're a huge lumber industry. So it was built in towns that had a mill on either side of the river. And so I think it just had all this redwood resources. And so they just built a huge Grange for these thriving communities. And then, like most timber, and especially in California, those communities died. And so we have this giant Grange. So anyways, as a kid, I went there for school functions were held there. I remember pancake breakfast as a kid. But as a teenager, it wasn't really a thing anymore. And we stopped going. Now it just sat empty. So I would drive by, and I work at a family resource center in our little community. And I'd be like, oh man, what are we doing with that building? And then you talk to other people in the community and they're like, the Grange is sitting empty, or someone was down there doing a bonfire. It just kind of, everyone rumbled about, why is this building sitting empty? Yeah, Megan.
I need a point of clarification. Did the Grange close? Did it close?
Yes.
Okay. If we're getting there, just tell me to stop. But I just,
I probably wasn't going to get there. The Grange died off. And if depending who you ask, they have a different story. I don't know the real story, but it died off. I think it seems like a lot of Granges. People got old, young kids, people didn't want to join. Feelings got hurt, people parted ways.
So, just again, for a point of clarification here, if a Grange, drops to a place where there's no longer members to sustain it, the charter then gets closed, or is there another terminology for
that?
Surrendered is the
surrendered.
Yeah, they surrendered their charter back to the state Grange. And so Ryann, I'm assuming, is getting to the point about reorganization here.
Yes.
Right. So that's I was trying to build us to that, because I'm I feel like that's where we're going. But I just think a lot of people don't understand that a Grange can close down.
Oh yeah.
It's not once it's opened, it's always opened. It can close down, and that's what happened at your Grange.
That's how we get to states like Pennsylvania, Washington, even some of the Midwestern states that have Grange numbers in the 2100s, is because new Granges just take the next number sequentially. They never refill in those gaps. So that anytime the Grange, like Duzen River, wants to reorganize, they can reclaim their charter number if they would like to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So eventually, about a year ago, I was like, okay, I'm going to find out who owns that piece of property. I assumed the county owned it at that point. And I was like, maybe we can buy it and make it a community center. I don't know what we can do. So I went to the clerk's office and they were like, oh, the Grange organization owns this property. I was like, oh, okay. So then I Googled, because I don't know much about it other than they have pancake breakfast at this point. That's all I knew them for. And I was like, okay, so I Googled it and it brought me to the state website and it's like, you can email your state Grange officers. I'm like, well, okay. So I emailed Joseph about a year ago and I'm like, would the Grange be interested in selling this property? Joseph's like, no, but we'd love to talk about reopening that Grange. And I was like, oh, a year ago, I was like, okay, I'll let you know if I'm interested in that. So then it sat for a year and I drive by and I talk to people. I'd be like, oh gosh. So finally I was like, all right, I'm going to find out. We're now October of last year. I'm like, all right, I'm going to email Joseph and figure out I Googled what is a Grange because do I even want to be a part of this organization? And I don't know that we have enough people who'd be interested in being a Grange. I don't know. So I emailed Joseph back and he put me in touch with Kathy and Maurice, which are our field representatives in Humboldt County. Mm-hmm. And I went to Humboldt Hills Grange and their pancake breakfast and visited with them. And they were super excited about the idea. The next day we went and walked through the Grange and I thought it was going to be, maybe vagrants lived in there. Like I thought it was going to be kind of bad inside. It wasn't too bad. Old, but not too bad. So I was like, what's our next step? And they're like, you have to see if the community wants to do this. I'm like, okay. So I just posted on our Highway 36 Facebook page on October, such and such date, meet at the Grange if you want to talk about how we can bring this community building back to life. 65 people showed up.
Hey.
Which was a lot.
Wow. No, that's impressive.
Yes, it was really impressive. 65 people. Everyone had a different Grange story. They remember coming to music as kids, concerts as teenagers. Everyone had different pieces. Friends had weddings there. So everyone was excited to bring this community building back to life. Mm-hmm. So that was October. We had meetings twice a month, probably through the first of the year, just to figure out how it works. Joseph came out a couple times. Chad Smith came out and visited with us. Tons of support. But essentially, the story was we have $0. There's not a secret bank account that Duzen River closed and the state held on to. The Grange has no money. It's a dilapidated building. But if you want it, it's yours. We were like, okay. So
I love that can-do attitude. Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
So now we're a Grange. We officially, I think our official charter is April. Is in April. We had 117 people on our charter.
April 2024?
April of 2024. Yeah.
Awesome.
And I said they were brand spanking new.
No, you weren't kidding. No, he wasn't kidding. I get it now. I get it. I'm like, what? April? Yeah. Cool. And we're in July of 24, just in case this doesn't get released right away. Like
I also want to tag on that the Joseph that Ryan's talking about is Joe Stefanoni, the president of California State Grange. For
Thank you.
Anybody who's out there listening.
Who doesn't know who that is?
Doesn't happen.
I'm sorry. I just figured I actually honestly know Joe, so I thought, oh, everybody knows Joe, right? I'm just kidding.
Well, for future Granger.
Do what?
If you're a Granger, maybe.
Oh yeah, that's true. If you're not a Granger, you probably don't know Joe. Sure.
Right. You might. I don't know.
He's getting shout out all over this. Like his head's gonna get so big from this podcast.
As if it's not big enough.
I didn't say it, Joe.
Sorry, Joe.
I didn't say it. That was Phil. That was not Meagan.
I definitely didn't say it. I'm very appreciative.
No, Joe is great. And honestly, the work that Joe has been doing in California over the past 2 years of his presidency is incredible. California has seen some tremendous growth. In fact, we just opened 2 other Granges in California in the last 2 months or so.
I feel like I've seen that on the Facebook pages. Yeah.
Coalinga is the newest Grange in the nation, reorganized just 2 weeks ago as of the point of this recording. No, it's not. Sorry, I lied. Manton Grange. Manton came in just after Coalinga, and they are the
last week.
Last week, yeah.
I think I saw that one. Yeah.
So that's 3 new Granges in California, at least since April. But yes, you were saying that your charter application came in with 117 names.
117.
Right? It's crazy.
Wow.
It is crazy. And we just filled out we're working on our quarterly reports this week. And I think we're at like 125. Like we lost some because some people at one point we were like,
they're going to rival my Grange, and my Grange has weird high numbers. That's awesome.
Yeah. And we're not super rural, but we are pretty rural.
Yeah.
Pretty rural. But I think it speaks to how much like post-COVID people needed community.
Absolutely.
Is what it speaks to. So that is kind of my Grange story. And for most of the time, I am like, how did we get here? What is a Granger?
Right.
What are we doing? Lots of those conversations.
I totally feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I totally it's awesome, that. I think. I don't know. We're having a good time.
Well, I feel like we got the story of like how you came to the Grange and how your Grange has, has reorganized and all that kind of stuff. That's so cool. So tell me, what is your vision of like because I could say what's happening in the Grange, but since you guys just started in April, like obviously you don't have events like yearly events yet or anything like that. Like, what's your guys' plan? Like, what do you want to do now that you've reorganized?
Okay, so we reorganized in April. And we, so far, since the month of April, have had a pancake breakfast bingo monthly. Our first pancake breakfast, we served 450 people.
Wow.
It was insane. Joseph Stefanoni, the California State Grange president, you kind of come down into our valley and turn, and then you can see the flat the Grange is on. And Joseph came to the breakfast and he's like, I came down the turn and it was just cars lining the highway. And he was like, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is happening. It was crazy. So since then we have monthly bingo, pancake breakfast. We do a free community dinner once a month where we cook food. Community, we encourage them to bring a dessert to share. And that by far has been my favorite thing so far. It's less work, more just visiting for me. We throw toys out, kids run around wild. We have feral kids, mine included. But kids run wild.
I understand.
Yeah, kids run wild. So we're doing a lot for us just being in April. I have to remind us, I have a group of people, or our Grange has a group of people with big ideas. Right. And lots of gumption. And I have to remind us every once in a while, like, this could be on our next year list. Like, let's figure out what it's like to make it to December, just like paying our bills.
Yeah, let's get off the ground, take the first step forward.
Yes.
What has community support and feedback been like so far?
Really good. Hi. The community has pitched in. We have an old building that is old and it needs a lot of repairs. So, both small businesses like want to donate a new pump for our well. A local gas company donated the propane tank. An HVAC company is looking at our very old heaters to see if, one, they're safe for us to light up and use, and if they're efficient. We had a member who used to be a contractor and retired. All of our steps leading up into our Grange and our ramps were rotten. We got wood donated from our local lumber company, and he fixed them all for us. Wow. So outside of the people working inside the Grange to make all of these events happen, we have people who maybe don't love the inside piece, but want to help kind of patching pieces together on the outside. So it's been overwhelming, the support we've been getting.
I'm glad, because I've heard of other Granges that form, and they form with, the 13 required people.
Yeah.
And they never get off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
The 13 of them who seem to be doing projects while they're trying to get out into their community never really succeed in breaking out. I'm really glad that you guys have found the support already. Like, you're 4 months old and already making an impact, and people are seeing that and wanting to give back to you. And that's incredible.
It is incredible. I regularly stand back and I'm like, I don't know how we got here, but this is incredible.
Who would have thought?
I don't know what we're doing, but we're doing it really well.
Who would have thought whenever you saw the building, sitting there, and you went, I wonder if we can just buy that if you end up being like in charge of it, right?
Right. Yes. Well, you're the person who like opens the door for those first few meetings, right? And everyone's like, you're going to run for president, right? And I was like, yeah, I think so. And then I'm at home with my husband and he's like, this is a full-time job. Like rechartering a Grange is a full-time job. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, did you know? And I was like, no, I had no idea. I had no idea.
Yeah, in some ways it's like, I'm the president of a Grange as well that's more established, and it's still a full-time job of trying to keep up with everything that we have going.
Yeah.
So what do you do for, I'm a marketing guy. I'm an out there in the public eye. I know that you said you posted your initial meeting on your local Facebook page. What do you do for marketing? How do you get the word out?
A lot of Facebook.
Yeah, how do you get 400 people to a pancake breakfast? That's pretty impressive. So
okay, word of mouth, Facebook. We went to our one of our local VFWs, and I'm sure no one's listening, but Ferndale VFW told us that we could come and watch them do their pancake breakfast and help them. They serve a large population, and we could just kind of watch the flow of it. So we were like, great, awesome. Our events coordinator went and helped them serve one day, and that whole time, right, like Ferndale VFW is like, next month the Carlotta Grange or Duzen River Grange is going to have a pancake breakfast. And then it was just a lot of word of mouth, like people just talking to people, excited about the idea of this space being open again. And I don't know.
That's so cool.
It is so cool. And so now at our pancake breakfast, we have a petting zoo because one of our members owns like a farm and offered to bring animals. Can we do a petting zoo at the
This is what I love about the Grange. This is what I love about the Grange.
breakfast?
Everyone just brings whatever they have. Like it's like come as you are, bring what you have. Like we're just gonna make it happen.
Cool. Yeah, sure. A petting zoo sounds great. I think that's okay. And now we're doing a community market. So local, if you're a Grange member, you get your community market booth for free. If you're a non-Grange member, it's $25 a month for that booth space. And our pancake breakfast, we have a little farmer's market outside.
Yeah. I love that combination of service for the community.
Yep.
And tying in the ag aspects as well, from our roots of the Grange. Not all Granges are in the ag sphere. So I like that, especially as a new and reborn Grange, that you're still keeping that connection to the farmers, to the community. What kind of animals would you say you have at this petting zoo?
Okay. A pig,
trip, is that what you're saying?
turkey.
I love petting zoos. Okay.
An emu who bopped a kid on the head last month.
Yeah,
the mom's like, oh, he kind of bopped me, and I was like, oh, are you okay? Like, and then as like my little president friend's like, oh my god, I don't know that our insurance covers emus.
Liability. That's what I thought too. I'm like, no, liability there.
Okay, and she was like, it's fine. He was kind of bugging the emu. I'm like, okay, yeah, good. But in my head, I'm like, oh my god. Goats. Yeah, turkey, pig, goats, emu, mini donkey. I think that rounds out our petting zoo.
Oh, yeah. I love that. I love that.
I think it's so cool. What did you say?
I was going to say there's plenty of hand sanitizer before you go inside and touch the pig.
Absolutely. Yeah. Right. Absolutely. Yeah. No, and I just think it's so cool because it's like, and you're writing on the memories that people have of the Grange. And I think that's like so many people talk. I mean, so the Grange that, I'm a part of, we have the original schoolhouse like on our property, and people come and they talk about like visiting that as a child, like as a field trip. And like, these are people who are twice my age, you know what I mean? That are having these conversations. And it's just so cool to feel the community history. And so, I mean, just what an amazing act of service for you guys to come in and say, we don't want it to die. Like we want to bring it back. And it is a great place. And I agree with you. I think post-COVID now, this post-COVID world, people are dying to have community and find a place for community. And we just lost that like so severely, especially on the coast. I think the middle of the country was a lot less like, it wasn't as, I don't know. I'm trying to think of this. It wasn't as intense. There you go. Thank you. Yeah, because I think especially, we were on the West Coast, when this all happened. It was like we were in lockdown from the very beginning till the very end. And it was like there was no middle, no middle of like, oh, we're gonna. So it was like everybody came out of that just so desperate for community. And so I think that's amazing that you guys have revitalized, and congratulations. I think that's super amazing.
And tagging off of that, I think it's awesome that while every Grange is different, and I totally understand that, you guys came in and immediately turned back to your community and said, we want to do this for you.
Right.
It didn't, while some of you were like, wanted to retain and recreate memories right away, the memories that you wanted to recreate were the memories that are for the whole community and not just the internal structure that is sometimes the first focus. And so I love that you guys are finding your way into what it means to be a Grange immediately through that service.
Yeah.
I think acts of love and service for our community is like oozing out of who this core group, who these people are as members of this Grange, for sure. Surrounded by just people with awesome ideas, but things we hope for in our future. I don't know.
Well, and I think too, like, let's draw this a little bit further. And this might be a question that might be harder for you, or might be even more interesting to have you answer. Because when we ask this question to people, especially longtime Grangers, I think longtime Grangers understand that there has been kind of a, a decrease in membership and interest and that sort of thing, over the years. And so the idea and the talk about the future is really, how do we keep Grange alive and moving forward in a very relevant way for our communities that we're in? And I think you guys in your community have figured that out. You figured out, like, this is what the community needs. This is what the community wants. We're going to do it. But I think there's a bigger question there, is like, how does the Grange as an entire organization stay relevant in the world that we live in? And so I come from a very suburban Grange, so it's really hard for us to stay connected to rural America and the agriculture aspect of that sort of thing, because we are very suburban. But it doesn't mean we can't. I mean, that there are ways that we can stay connected to that. So I guess that's kind of what the question about, like, the future of the Grange, like, yes, what you guys see is like the future of your little Grange, but also like big picture, like, where's the Grange going, like, on a national level?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I say, like, and Phil, if I put my foot in my mouth and you're like, lady, that's not Granger, figure it out. But like, you're a suburban Grange. If you can't speak to the agriculture, you need to speak to what your suburban community is about. And that's what you need to do to feed your community.
Right.
I joined I can't
That
remember
is very Grangerly, just so you know, like, that is not anti-Grange at all. Like, because that's where, I mean, there's a lot of suburban Granges that, like, we're community center. We serve our community. Like, that's what we do.
And it might have been rural when it was built in 1942, and it no longer is.
No.
So, and I joined a national Grange call, and I can't remember what we were talking about. I think it was a membership call. And someone had joined, and she was like, the ritual piece is very important. People need to be doing it more. They need to be like, it was very important to her, the ritual and piece of it. And I have had people come, and that ritual piece that we're just trying to, like, learn the flow of a meeting. So we were doing it because we're like, we don't know how to do this. So we're all kind of reading scripts and fumbling through and kind of giggling at each other, like, okay. And a kid came in, and he's like, I can't tell my mom to come to this meeting. Miss Ryann, I work at a school. He's like, I can't tell my mom to come to this meeting, Miss Ryann. This is a cult. And I was like, well, and I was like, first of all, what do you mean? Like, I'm definitely not a member of a cult. He's like, there's staffs and rituals. And I said, oh, okay. Are you a member of 4-H? He's like, yeah. And I was like, you say the 4-H creed before every meeting? And he was like, okay. And I was like, I get it. It's whelming. Like, if you sit through the whole pomp and circumstance, it's a lot. And I think that focusing on that being an important piece, you're missing the important piece. But I could be wrong too.
No, you're absolutely right. And FFA, which was born out of the Grange, here's my history tidbit for the night.
I was like, yeah, I did not. So
FFA's colors are blue and gold in homage to the subordinate Grange. And their opening is very similar, some sections word for word from the Grange opening as well. So that's a way that we connect with in my community. We've made partnerships with the local FFA of saying, in a way, the Grange is your continuation. So once you're done with FFA and you age out, the Grange is a natural progression to come back in a way to the motherland of where your organization.
The motherland. Let's call the mothership. I want to do an
Mothership.
alien reference. That seems more natural.
Okay, so the mothership. And 4-H also, the Grange played a major part in founding the 4-H as well. So those two organizations both have their roots in the Grange, which of course has its roots in the Masons, kind of. So there's a lot going on there, but the ritual, while it's not the most important thing, is what ties us all together as a Grange, and that's what ties the rural and the urban and suburban Granges to one another. In no way is doing what your community needs against the Grange. I think you find that need and you find a way to serve it.
Right.
Yeah. And I think the history of the ritual is, I think that's really, to me, because I also, that was kind of my, point of contention is like, well, why are we doing this? Why is this important? Why do we need to carry this on in, 2023, 2024? Like, is this really necessary? And, I think that like I've come to an appreciation of the history behind the ritual. And that there is semblance and, all those things that is important about it. But I think if it's the only focus and it's turning people away from the Grange, like that is where we need to question ourselves, like look into ourselves as, as an organization, is like, we don't want to ever feel closed off or cultish, I hate to use that terminology, but like, we want to seem like an open place. And I think what I've learned is that even though it seems secret, there's nothing secret about it. Like there's not. And it's like, it's almost a joke to like say that we're secret, because it's like, you want to know something, you just got to ask, like, and someone will explain it to you,
You can check our manuals out of libraries. Like, it's there in the public.
It's on the internet. I can tell you, because I Googled it, and I Googled it and got weirded out because I'm like, whoa, what are we talking about here? But it is all there. But I think it's just important. I think it's important to understand the history, and it's like, I think you have to do what makes sense for your Grange and your community. Just like Phil said. I think that is what I would the Grange way.
Yeah. I would think that's what Granges individually as community Granges need to focus on to succeed, is like, how are you serving that your very specific community?
Yeah.
And if
I was going to say, we talked to Granges that both have buildings and don't have buildings. Like that's the other really interesting thing is,
honestly,
it's like,
you're one of the first ones that's had a building in a while that we've talked to. So.
Yeah. Well, it's a building, and the lists on lists of things this building needs. So fun.
But the thing is that the building is what brought you guys back together. Where in other things, it's like there's been the service of the community that's brought a Grange together, and so they haven't needed the building to like. But you guys are obviously doing service to the community, but the building is really what drew you to it, which is just a cool story, and it's cool to think about that. Like there's all these iterations. And that's why, Phil and I want to do the podcast, because it's like everybody's story is different, and it all melds together to how do we serve our community? Like that's what this organization is. It's a service organization, and it happens to be focused on rural America and rural communities and ag communities. But it's like, it's how do we serve them? What do we do for them? How can we be, how can we be the service organization? So.
And I want to hear, you said, you had that list of next year ideas or the next year. What are some of the things that are like bubbling under the surface that you're just like waiting to get off the ground?
Okay, things that we're waiting to get off the ground. Well, in the fall and before Christmas, we're going to do a used toy drive. So starting in August, you can bring a lightly used or new toy to the Grange, either bingo or pancake, any of our events. And if you're at those events, you'll get a free drink ticket if you would like one, as a thank you for bringing a used toy. And then the first weekend in December, we will sort those toys and open it up to the community for free. So parents can come Christmas shop or holiday shop for their kids. We'll have a gift wrapping station. So that's our next big event that we're talking about and how we're going to pull that off. I'm excited about that one. So that's just a service to the community. We would like to do next year classes. What we'll call them is up, but we have like a group of Grangers who are really talented. I have a man who raises bees and makes his own honey. He wants to teach a beekeeping class. And we're thinking about doing them a month long. So for once a week for a month, you'll sign up for a beekeeping class. Grangers will get a better rate and first option to the class, and then we'll open it up to non-grangers for a little bit more. Hopefully that maybe intrigues people to become a member. We have people, who do sourdough. We have people who weave baskets, So we'll probably call them
wait. Do they basket weave underwater?
Oh.
No, underwater basket weaving.
I could not help myself.
Yes, that's my major in college.
Well, yeah, I think it was mine too.
I majored in theater. Mine was useful, guys. Come on.
We won't talk about what my actual degree is. That's hilarious.
We'd like to start a youth fair program. That's a piece that's really kind of bubbling. We don't have one at any of the Granges in Humboldt County, but our border county, Del Norte, has a really thriving youth Grange program, youth fair program. So we'd like to maybe take that on next year. We're kind of feeling out people in the community who'd like to manage that program. We'd like to start a scholarship for the youth of Grangers or ag or trade related majors post high school. So building what that scholarship would look like. And then we plan to do a big fundraiser to raise our first funds for that scholarship next year. So big things.
Yeah. I love I'll send you information. My Pomona Grange, my county Grange, we just last year started we call ours a grant instead of a scholarship.
Okay.
Ours is open to people of any age who are pursuing ag, trade, or like returning for nursing, or anything in those kind of adult continuing ed spheres. So I'll send you information on what our program looks like. So you don't have to start totally from scratch.
Perfect. I love it. I'll file it away.
I believe sharing is caring.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Those are great.
And then we just hope to keep plugging along. We got a lot of families, a lot of young kids. So pancake breakfast, you can find about 10 or 15, 8 to 14-year-old kids are picking up and resetting placemats sections at Pancake Breakfast. We're trying.
There will soon be a Van Duzen River Junior Grange as well.
Exactly.
I mean, maybe that might be a 2-year out project.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe, I don't know. At this point, I think we kind of feel like the Grange world is our oyster.
It is.
We think we're awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
I wrote down that I'm stealing your used toy drive idea because I think that's an awesome way to reach out, because there are so many families who get given toys for Christmas, holidays, whatever, that are played with like 3 or 4 times and have a ton of life left in them. And I think it's a great way to reach out into your community and say, look, this is totally free. This is totally come visit with us, come take part in this, and to really open your doors to people who might not have felt a connection to the Grange in any way, shape, or form, and now have a reason to come in.
Right.
I think and for a Grange Hall, in your mansion that you have over there, there must be plenty of space for it.
Yes. Yeah. Hopefully we run out of space. That would be awesome. But yes.
That would be great. Too many tables set up.
Many tables. We have too many toys.
Amazing.
Could you imagine?
No.
This is awesome. I am so excited for you. I love your enthusiasm and your passion, and I'm so glad that you're not the only person driving the ship too.
Yes.
There are people who are there supporting you, both in your community and from within the Grange. Sometimes it feels like the Grange becomes one person's passion project and kind of bogarts everybody to get involved in some way or another. And I love that you are able to have this community of 117 people who joined with you to make this happen. And that's cool. You guys are in a good place, and I'm so excited for your future.
Yeah, thank you. We're excited too.
And
so we'll be at State Grange.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, I was going to say, thank you for coming on today. But yeah, State Grange
Convention. Thank you. We'll be at State Grange Convention. We hope we're a competitive group of people. So we hope, we obviously don't think we'll win everything we submit, but we want to be the most submitted. Like, oh gosh, Van Duzen River, they submitted more entries than anyone else.
So again, point of clarification here. Let's talk about this because a lot of people may not know that we have competition, we have contests at all the way up to national convention, but they start at, at the Pomona or some, I guess maybe some local granges do it there first. I'm not sure. But, in my Grange, we submit to the Pomona Grange, and there's a baking competition, there's a photography competition, there's what do you call it? Like fiber craft,
Fiber
like
art,
people, fiber art, they do crocheting and quilting and all that kind of stuff. It's beautiful. All these things are gorgeous. And so as you move along, you win your Pomona, then you go to, you can go, you go on to state, and then you win state, you go on to national. It's a big deal. And there's a lot of bragging rights, let me tell you, out there for people who win. I mean, like there are people and on top of that, a lot of the times it's also fundraising stuff because I know sometimes they auction stuff off, which is I'm a sucker for an auction.
Right.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm like, money? Wait, competition, money? Let's do it.
Well, and so that's what I was going to say. Like, I encourage you. I love seeing the new Grange enthusiasm, and at the National Grange, we've got Grange in Action, which while there's no monetary prize for that, the Grange in Action program just shows that you are involved in your community. We do have the publicity item contest, which is in my own department, that you can submit as many things as you want. 2 years ago, one Grange swept first through fourth place in their category, and there were 100 some entries against them. So feel free to enter anything and show off your Grange, because everything that gets submitted to the national level, everything gets shown off in our showcase at our national convention. Which this year is in the middle of the country in Bettendorf. So if anybody wants to come get cold with me.
Iowa.
Is it on a riverboat?
So we're doing a riverboat lunch.
Because that piece is intriguing.
Yeah, we're doing like the lunch cruise on Monday as like the host banquet.
Oh, okay.
But the rest of it, could you imagine like an entire convention on the Mississippi River?
Actually, I was talking to my treasurer and I was like, we need to go to this. If this is on this riverboat for the whole week, like we need to float down the Mississippi on a riverboat for the whole week as a Granger.
2025 is a cruise to
Aruba.
I
saw that. I was like, we're cruising.
We are literally cruising out of Miami in 2025.
I love it.
Okay.
So what I think one of the things that I was thinking earlier when you were talking about serving suburban communities and how, Van Duzen River might have once been a rural Grange, is that as the landscape of the world itself has changed, the landscape of the Grange has changed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just true at the local levels, it's all the levels trying to keep up and adapt. And I think that's what has made the Grange a successful organization for 150 years, is that we have the ability to adapt. And sometimes it takes some of us longer than others to catch up. We're like the wheel in the back that needs just a little more air blown into it sometimes, but we get there. And the Grange was founded on progress and being a progressive organization. And I like that that's still what you're doing, and you're finding ways of making today's society as important to the Grange as it was back in 1867. So that's great.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this. This was a great conversation.
That was a great conversation. Thank you, Ryan, so much for taking that time out of your schedule to come on and talk to us. And it is so exciting, and it's great to see the, enthusiasm and the excitement from brand new Grange and brand new Grangers. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks. Thank you. This was great. I was kind of nervous, but I think it went well.
It did. That's
what amazing.
One of our last interviews said too. She's like, I was very nervous. I'm like, we're just Grangers.
I was like, we're no one special.
One of your last people I listened to, she's like an Olympic archery teacher.
Eiley. Yeah.
I feel like she didn't touch on that enough. When she said it, I was like, whoa, let's come back to that.
She kind of gloss over that. So we'll come back to Eiley at some point.
And then she's like, well, I do archery because I'm an Olympic archery coach. And I was like, what?
You and Eiley should actually, I'm going to connect you two via email because Eiley's Grange also formed around saving the building. So I'm sure you guys are in the same boat in those ways on opposite sides of the country.
Yeah.
So I'm going to connect you guys here probably tomorrow. So look out.
And really, this is what Grange is all about, guys. This is what Grange is all about right here, is connecting and making connections and sharing information.
Yeah.
For real. So
yeah.
I have a friend who said, he lived in Massachusetts and he was like, look, if I ever needed to drive across the country, I could make it the entire way across staying at my Grange friends' houses.
That's right.
I could.
That's awesome.
That networking is, I think, one of the things that makes us more unique than any other organization, because I don't see it in any other. I don't see it in the Masons. I don't see it in the Lions. I don't see it in those other fraternal service organizations the way that I see it in the Grange.
Yeah.
And even as an outsider, people have said, you have friends everywhere. I'm like, they're Grange friends, and they're the best.
Grange.
Just a group of weirdos coming together.
Doing our best to serve our communities.
Yes. Amen. Amen.
Well, thank you so much again, Ryann. I really appreciate it. And I am looking forward to meeting you here in person in just 2 months out
2 months.
in California. I know, right? Sorry, I didn't mean to put that number in your head.
That's okay. It's in my calendar somewhere with all the other things.
There you go.
Before then, you have some more bingo. You have some more pancake breakfast. You have some.
Yeah.
Yes, and I have children and, youth sports and work and life. So
right.
It's all good stuff. Because in COVID, we were all sitting around like, oh, remember when we used to do things?
That's right. And now we're like, we're doing too much.
I know. Like, when do I have a day at home on my couch? I need to pencil that into my calendar.
That's right.
The other night I was like, you know what I miss? Zoom trivia nights with my friends.
Oh.
Those were big. I don't have time
to bring that back. No, I don't either, but we should bring that back.
I'll make that a Grange program this fall. We'll do a Zoom trivia night. Look for it coming to a Facebook post near you.
Near you.
Near you.
All right, well, thank you again, Ryann.
Yeah, thank you guys.
We will see you next time
at the hall.
The Grange Hall podcast is a production of the National Grange, all rights reserved. If you have comments or questions, or if you'd like to recommend a member of your Grange to be featured, you can contact us at grangehallpod@gmail.com.